guys, it's Caleb from Rokblokz. Today in the shop we're working on this 2024 GMC Sierra 3500. We've got a new mud flap kit for it, so let's go ahead and show you how to install it. Here we have the tools laid out that you'll need for install. Today we'll be using a pry tool, some needle nose pliers, a level, a Phillips head screwdriver, a 4mm Allen. You'll need a 10mm socket and a T15 Torx. Here we have the front laid out. What you'll get in your kit is your main flap for that corner. You'll get your fender cap. You'll get your fender edge clamp. Then you'll get the hardware. We'll go ahead and put a breakdown on the hardware on the screen right now. Before we head to the vehicle, we're going to pre-assemble a few things and bend our flap here. So to do so, you'll take your fender edge clamp and you'll press in your number 10 flange nuts into there. Then you'll grab your flap and we're going to go ahead and we're going to bend at each of these lines. We're going to bend about 45 degrees or a little more, and we'll let it relax. So this first bend, we're going to bend back. This second bend, we're going to bend forward. So I'm just going to take that and bend. Bend a little over, and it will bend back. Then we'll bend at our second line. And we'll bend that back as well. So if you overbend a little, you can just work them just a little bit like so. It's best to do that at room temperature and not freezing cold. Once you finish bending it, the flap is ready for install. You can head to the vehicle and begin installing. Here we are at the front fender. We're going to begin by removing the front lower mud flap. To do so, there's going to be 2 screws on the bottom and then the 3 screws in the wheel well. And then to help us even further, we're going to remove the upper screw here from the liner so we can pull the liner away to help remove the insert that is located on the inside of the fender here. When you're going to pull this off, that'll be the only piece that's going to retain it. If you just tug, you can break that clip and you'll have to replace it. Or if you want to save the clip, you can reach in with the liner exposed to get in there and kind of push the pins in so that it will pop out easier. So let's go ahead and get those removed. I've already loosened ours, but they are just a T15 Torx. And then we'll unthread those and set those to the side. So now we got the 2 on the bottom. Here, and 1 right here. Now we're going to go ahead. We'll pull that down. It has a tooth here that you'll have to get it past. Right now you can take your liner and kind of fold it in. You'll have to grab it and pull it. Ours was already broken, so this yellow tab sits inside here and it's pretty tight. Ours cracked, which makes it easier to pull off. But if you need to, you can still have that in place and flex your liner like this, so that you can access the back side of the hole here and then be able to pinch that yellow clip. And you'll also want to return your liner, and we're going to cut it from here to match up with the fender liner, so that way it doesn't get in the way of this, because there's just this little piece of extra material. So go ahead, clip that out of the way, gain some clearance. Then we'll take our cap, put that up in here, put our screw through the bottom here, put our washer and our lock nut on the inside. Now we can take our now we're just going to use our 90-degree screw, now we're just going to use our ratchet with the 10mm socket and our 4mm Allen. And put that on the inside here. We're going to secure that tight. When it gets close to being snug, we'll push it up and close that gap. And we'll tighten it down fully. That's secured tight. We can go ahead, return the liner to its original position. And at the bottom here, we will be tucking it underneath the new fender cap. So it'll be underneath there. And that hole will line up with our OEM insert in the fender. So now we've got our cap on. We can grab our mud flap and begin mounting. Okay, we've grabbed our flap, we've got our hardware. We're going to take our 2 number 10 machine screws and our fender edge clamp. I'm going to take that clamp and we're going to face it so that it's on the same side as the logo. And we're going to face it so that the clamp part faces the outer edge. And we're going to put our 2 screws into the flange nuts. One in, we can move to the next one. Just get that started a couple of threads. It can be loose and we'll tighten it later. Now we're going to go ahead, take one of our number 8 screws. We're going to go through this hole right here, going into the clip on the body. Get that started a few turns by hand. That'll help support the flap. And now at this point we can go ahead, take our flap, push it up against the fender liner. We'll slide that so that the fender edge clamp goes underneath the plastic fender. And now we can align our top hole. And we'll take another one of our 1-inch number 8 screws, and we're going to use our material spacer on the top hole here. So we'll place that material spacer on the other side of the mud flap, between the mud flap and the liner, and we'll screw into the OEM point there. And now the other 2 screws are going to be the inner 2 points right here. We're going to have to climb under to realign the OEM clips because they sometimes like to slip off the hole. So I'm going to get underneath there, align those as I put these in. Okay. So now we're going to go through our holes and make sure that we're going into those clips that are aligned with the holes here. They do like to move. So we'll go ahead and get that one started by hand. And now we'll double check and make sure that this one is, yeah, this one slipped off. So we're going to slide it back over the hole, get it aligned, and get it started. And now at this point, we can go ahead, set our flap adjustment. We can tighten these a little bit more to hold that adjustment, but we'll set the adjustment of the flap. We can check along the bottom here with our level, get it set to where we want it. Once we get that set to the distance and offset that we want, we'll go ahead and we're going to lock it down starting with this point right here. Now I'm going to get the inner 2 screws. And then we're going to do the last one going into the OEM spot up here. And now that we've got all the OEM spots tightened, we'll come back and we'll tighten down our fender edge clamp. That'll fully secure our flap. And there you go. With those screws fully tightened down, that completes the front. You'll notice that the flap has this nice bend to it. The truck is currently running 35s. So with that, we're able to clearance that without cutting or doing anything. And yeah, that completes the front install. Let's go ahead, jump to the rear. Here we have the rear laid out. What you'll get in your kit is your flap for that corner, your fender cap, your fender edge clamp, and then the hardware. We'll go ahead and put a breakdown on that hardware on the screen right now. Before heading to the vehicle, you'll prep the fender clamp the same way you did the front by pressing the number 10 flange nuts into the hex-shaped holes. Now let's head to the vehicle and begin installing. Here we are at the rear fender. We're going to begin by removing the factory mud flap, simply by removing the T15 torque screws here, 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 and then 2 on the bottom, 1 here, and 1 up here. So go ahead, we've already pre-loosened ours. They are just a T15 Torx, and we're going to go ahead and set those to the side. All those taken out, this is just sort of a press fit. There's no additional insert, so we can go ahead, take that, set that to the side as well. Now we're going to go ahead and grab our lower fender cap. This is just going to go ahead and press up in here. It's going to lock up in that fender, and then the hole here will align with the OEM hole there. That will also secure it when your mud flap is in place. If you're installing just the caps, you will want to install the OEM screw here to support the whole cap. Now let's go ahead, grab our mud flap, grab our 2 number 10 1/2-inch machine screws, and our fender edge clamp. And we're going to set that up the same way we did on the front, having it so that the clamp is on the same side as the logo, and that it has the teeth facing the outer edge of the flap. And we'll go ahead and get those screws just threaded into the flange nuts. With those loosely started, we can go ahead, grab one of our number 8 screws with the dress washer, put the screw through our washer, and we're going to start with this outermost hole going through the fender cap here and into the OEM insert there, and just get that threaded. Now we're going to go ahead and take our edge clamp and hook underneath our fender here. If you're having any issues like I'm having now, you can actually go ahead and remove it again. It should slide under there, but if you are having issues, you're still good. You can remove it from your flap, see where it's going to sit, and I found it sometimes is a little easier to kind of flex it underneath like so. It needs to be slid up just a little bit, and now we can align both holes with both nuts and thread in like so. Just because it's such a tight squeeze, sometimes it's a little easier to do that than to try and pull it over the edge. Now we'll put those back in. We'll grab our other number 8 screws with dress washers, and these are going to go into the remaining 2 holes. Just aligning the holes in our flap to those holes. You can now adjust and control that fender edge clamp just by moving the flap up and down. So we will get that all in place. And adjust it to where we want. I'm going to tighten it down just a little bit to hold the position a little bit better. So we'll kind of get those lightly snugged. Okay, with that snug down, it will hold the place of our flap. We'll check along the bottom edge with a level. Get it set to where we want, and we're going to fully tighten down the screws going into the OEM clips first. This outer one, we're going to push our fender cap up, making sure the gap is closed as we're tightening, just so that holds all of that into a good position. And then we'll tighten the inner 2. And now lastly, we're going to tighten our fender edge clamp up here, just tightening those 2 machine screws. Now that those screws are fully tightened down, that completes the rear install. You can repeat these same steps on the other side. Thanks for watching.